When I tell you that the enemy has been coming at me so hard this last year and these first 3 months of 2026, the enemy was attacking my mind, trying to get me to give up, trying to get me to doubt what God told me that he was about to do in my life. Last year in August, God spoke his word and his promises over my life, my children's life, my family life, my businesses. Do you know that the resistance, the demonic resistance, was heavy? I'm talking about to the point to where things was happening to me that I have never experienced in my spiritual walk, ever. But I continue to press. I continue to seek God. I continue to stay in his word. Even when fear tried to come in and overtake me to the point, my anxiety was so high, y'all, to the point I had to go to the emergency room because my blood pressure with the medication that I take was not budging. It was so high. After I left that emergency room, I said, okay, it's time for me to turn down my plate. Because one thing's for sure and two things is for certain. I am in a war. I am in a battle. I recognized it. And let me tell you why. Because God already spoke a word over my life last year. I had went to, I don't know if you guys know this young lady, Tiffany Montgomery. She has a ministry that God has gifted her with called Covered by God. And she also has a business conference that God has gifted her with for entrepreneurs called the Millions Conference. And let me tell you, last year was my second time going to the Millions Conference and the Covered by God in person. Every time I go to the Millions Conference and I come back to Cleveland, Ohio, God shakes up some things and he moves me. Now, the first time he did it, I was trying to take control of the plan. When I first went to the first Covered by God and came back home, and God gave me a word for my business, for my personal life, for ministry, and I was trying to do it on my own, I must admit. God had to sit me down. I fell down 2 stairs, maybe 1, and I broke my ankle. God had me sitting down for 6 weeks. I sent my daughter to Family Dollar. I got a journal. I got a cute pack of pens, and I just started writing down everything that God was pouring into me at that time. And my business, this was during the pandemic, my business had made more during the pandemic in 1 year than it ever did, even when I had my business selling uniforms in the trunk of my car. Now, I got that. I understood that. I understood that God was slowing me down and pulling me into obedience, an obedient heart, listening to him instead of trying to do things on my own, right? Boom. Last year in August, I went to Atlanta to Covered by God and Millions Conference. And when I got back, before I hit the runway of the Hopkins Airport in Cleveland, Ohio, I text my daughters and this is what I said. I said, warning. there is a tornado about to touch down. And I called the tornado Patricia. Coming in at 110 miles per hour wind. And it was a warning, like every tornado we get that warning, like be prepared, be aware, because it's about to do some damage. I declared that before I touched down. Now, what the enemy mean for evil, God will work it out for your good. So I knew while I was in Atlanta that I had to move my scrub shop to a different location because the landlords just was not doing right. In 3 years, I had to go. So God, in his sovereignty and faithfulness, blessed me with another location. So I moved to that location. It's smaller, but it sits further up towards the street. And the bus stop is like right in front of my store. Okay. Then in that same week, our apartment complex got sold. I had a 2-bedroom paying $675 a month. And of course, I'm going to make wherever I live at comfortable. So I made me and my daughter's apartment comfortable. It was really nice. I replaced like the bathroom vanity. Like I did a lot of work just to make it comfortable. Plus, I didn't plan on going nowhere until I purchased my first home, right? The building got sold. The landlord wanted to see my apartment. She seen how immaculate it was, okay? Because it was really comfortable. And for 3 days, this lady went back and forth with me about how much she would have to raise my rent. It started off at like to $900. So from $675 to $900. Okay, I can do that. I'm right across the street from my business, right across the street from the nursing home that I worked at. It was convenient. Then she came back and said she gonna have to go up on my rent to $100 now. At this point, my daughter's just like, yeah, no, I don't think so. One thing about my mama, yeah, she always got a place to go. Thank the Lord for blessing me with children that have my back. And I love my children. I love my daughters have been like my backbone. Okay? And I promise you, I just appreciate them so much. So boom, I moved. I moved here to my daughter's home because she owned her own home. So she had the extra room where I used to be at anyway. So it wasn't nothing new. So I said, okay, Lord, what is going on? What is going on? Like, okay, I knew I had to move the store, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. And God spoke to me and said, I am moving you from places you no longer fit in. Y'all, because what I was working on as far as business was going to take finances. Now, I do pay my daughter rent, but I don't pay her what I was paying there at the apartments. So not only did that move release funds for me to, number one, give more, for number two, accomplish the business that I was working on, which was my Medicaid license for my home health care agency, right? Y'all, I promise you, when I tell you the process alone for becoming a licensed Medicaid or Medicare or MCO like insurance license agency, it is a really tedious process. I was really stressed out. The enemy really played on my weaknesses, right? But I knew what God had told me.